we are going to get started. If possible, you can leave your questions until the end, or you can put them in the chat, but I will save them for the end. So we will go ahead and get started. So hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Wolff. I'm a senior studying psychology. I studied abroad at the University of Westminster last spring of 2023, and I now work in the study abroad office as an engagement intern. Today, I'm going to discuss the details of this program and what your experience may look like if you decide to apply to this program. So this program is a part of our central study abroad office called International Academic Programs. The structure is a direct enroll program, which means you'll be enrolling at the University of Westminster as a student among their other local students and study abroad students. So we'll go over the differences in program structures later on in this presentation. You'll live in a student accommodation set up by the university, and these are typically single rooms with a shared kitchen. We'll also look at the two options today in the presentation. You can go on this program anytime during this year, including for the full academic year. I went in the spring, but you are able to study any season you would like. Another aspect of this program is the internship option. You can take an internship alongside your classes, and as someone who did this program, I find it to be one of the most impactful things I did abroad. I was able to gain so many new skills, and I often get to talk about it in interviews as a crucial experience in my career path. Studying in London was so impactful for me that I will actually be returning as a graduate student in the fall at the London School of Economics. So there are several benefits to studying abroad in London. I felt so compelled to return to the city to receive my master's degree there. This program has several aspects that make it a very well-rounded study abroad experience for many majors. There are hundreds of courses to choose from that can transfer back as credits you need from UW to advance in your major. London is a very diverse, bright, and global hub that is a very neat place to live in. There are so many amazing historical landmarks to check out. The British charm is unmatched, and the people are very friendly. You'll be studying under UK professors and among other UK and international students. This will give you the chance to meet new people from around the world and experience college courses in a different country. While there might be a language barrier in other countries, you will not have to worry about knowing any other language while in England. Students often experience less severe culture shocks since British and American culture have many similarities. Finally, as we will discuss in more detail later, the internship program is an incredible way to gain international work experience. The academics on this program will be a bit different than what you are used to at UW, but they are easy to adjust to. Students typically take 3 to 4 modules per semester, which usually transfer back as 3 or 4 credit classes. They are lecture and seminar style, meaning you could have a lecture for an hour and then a seminar, which is basically like a discussion section that we take here. And those could be about 2 hours. Some may just be lectures and some may just be discussion-based smaller classes. It will depend on the class. My classes only met once a week, so if I wasn't doing the internship, which took up a bit more of my week, I would have had a lot of free time. Something unique about their academics is there are not many small assignments due each week, so I only had an end-of-term exam or 1 essay for all of my classes. So while you may not have many assignments on a daily basis, it is important to keep up with your reading and studying so that the exams don't sneak up on you at the end. There are 4 different campuses that classes could take place in depending on the subject area of the courses. On the next slide, we'll take a look at these 4 campuses. You are able to take a look at the course equivalency sheet we have on our website to get an idea of the classes you may want to take and how they will transfer back to Wisconsin. I will drop a link in the chat to show you how to access this page at the end of the presentation. I'll drop that link. Keep in mind, only classes that have students that students have taken in the past will show up. So if there's a class we're interested in taking that's not listed on our course equivalency sheet, it just means someone hasn't taken it there yet, but it doesn't mean you won't get credit for it. We just won't know exactly what it will transfer back as until you are there. So there are 4 campuses your classes could take place in. They are all spread out from each other, but still very easy to get to either on foot or with public transportation. The Regent Street campus is where I had all my classes, and it was only a 15-minute walk from my dorm, which was in the Marylebone building, also pictured on this slide. This building is in a very busy and nice part of town, close to Oxford Circus and major shopping areas. The student gym is also in this building, so it is a very popular place for students to be. The Marylebone campus is home to student accommodation and classes for business and architecture courses. The accommodation is a separate building behind the main building, so only those who live there are able to access it. This building is also a very popular study spot for students and is usually very lively during the week with events and student activities. The Harrow campus is the only campus that is not in super central London. If you have classes here, you will have to take the tube, which is very easy and takes you directly to the campus. It's about a 30-minute journey depending on where your accommodation is, but it is very easy once you get on the tube. Finally, the Cavendish campus is home to sciences and engineering and is located pretty close to the Regent campus. All the campuses have amenities and student-friendly spots to study or grab a bite to eat at. The Regent and Marylebone campuses even offer free oatmeal and coffee or tea in the mornings. University of Westminster offers study abroad students accommodation in one of their halls. While this is optional and not required, it is highly recommended for efficiency and getting to know others in your program. Finding private housing in London will probably be harder to do and more expensive, but it is allowed if students wish to do so. Two of the most popular accommodations are Marylebone Hall and Alexander Fleming Hall, both located in a great area of London. Fleming has private rooms with shared bathrooms and shared kitchens, and Marylebone has private rooms with private bathrooms and shared kitchens with all those on your hall. I can speak for only my experience in Marylebone in that there were 6 of us in a hall with small private rooms and 1 shared kitchen. The kitchen, which is shown above on that picture on the right, is spacious enough to share, and the staff comes in and cleans once a week, which is really nice. Comes with a few appliances, but you and your hallmates must supply all the cookware and utensils. I was actually randomly placed with 3 other UW students on my hall, which was a nice way to meet others coming from the same place. I also shared the hall with other study abroad students from the US, and we had fun cooking and hanging out together. There was a laundry in the basement and a staff member at the front desk 24/7. The dorm was very clean and safe, and overall a really great place to come home to at the end of the day. So like I've mentioned earlier in the presentation, the optional internship component of this program is one of the main reasons I chose it. This option gives students the chance to take on an internship for a UK-based company while they're taking classes at the university. I worked for 14 hours a week for the CEO of a life coaching business, which as a psychology major was very impactful for my career. This internship counts for 4 UW credits, and you will also take a class about professional and personal skills that meets once a week. I took 2 classes in addition to the internship, which gave me a total of 12 credits for my semester abroad. Even with the internship and my classes, I still had plenty of free time in my schedule. If you decide to do this program, you get to rank the field of work you are most interested working in, and Westminster does their best to match you to companies and your desired interests. A big benefit of this process is that Westminster does the work to search and match a company to you, so you don't have to find your own internship. So while the internship is optional, it is also an application process. You're not guaranteed to be placed into the program just by applying. This global work experience will provide you with so many personal and professional skills you will use for the rest of your career. This experience also looks really great on resumes and helps you stand out in interviews. So while each day studying abroad in London is going to vary, here's an example of some things you might get up to during a typical week or weekend. If it is a weekday, you may head to your class or internship for the day. Usually classes will take up a few hours of your day, and since there is not typically much outside coursework to be done apart from general studying, you can pretty much fill your time with other activities around the city. You can easily catch the tube, which is London's underground transportation system, or bus for only a couple of pounds. These will quickly take you across the city in a very efficient way. Depending on your dorm location, you may use this transportation for class, or you may be able to walk. My dorm was only a 15-minute walk, like I said, but I used the tube to get to my internship most days since it was a few miles away. When the weather is nice, London is a very easily walkable city and has lots of parks to enjoy walks in. Some other things you could do are reading, or doing work in a cafe, grabbing a meal with friends, seeing a West End show, or catching a football match, going to the gym with your free student membership, or hanging out in your dorm with your flatmates. So there are several study abroad programs we offer in England, and 8 of them currently are in London. When you decide to apply, it might depend on your major, whether you want to go at a certain time of year, if you want to do an internship or field work, and several other important factors you want to consider. On the next slide, we will go over the differences between our program structure so you can narrow down your options and figure out what will provide you with the best experience. A popular UW signature program is UW in London, which, like Westminster, also offers an internship component. but the difference is you will be in a group of other Badgers and will be taught by a UW professor. If you are looking for an internship during the summer, FIE London is also a great option. We also have programs in England specifically for students in the business school, engineering, and CALS majors. Ultimately, what made me choose Westminster out of all the options available was that internship component and the direct enroll nature of the program. I wanted to enroll in a British university and be taught by their professors to gain that global education experience. This program also specifically had internship opportunities available for psychology majors, which I have found challenging to find on my own. Everyone will want different things out of their abroad experience, so we will now cover how these program structures differ and how they may impact your experience. So our study abroad programs fall within 3 broad categories that structure your experience. These are UW Signature, Provider, and Exchange programs. The program structure can affect many different aspects of your experience, including your academics. For example, on our exchange or direct enroll programs, you could be the only UW or US student in a classroom at a local university with students from your host country. So for Westminster's case, that will not be the case, as there are several other UW-Madison and also several other US study abroad students that enroll in that program. In contrast, on a UW signature program, such as UW in London, you are typically studying with a cohort of other UW-Madison students and learning from a UW instructor. These programs are specifically created for UW students, and they offer a high level of on-site support and may be prioritized for UW study abroad scholarships. University of Westminster, like I said, is an example of a direct enroll program, meaning you will enroll at the University of Westminster as a student and take classes with students at that host university, as well as other international and study abroad students. You will also be taught by the Westminster professors and get a sense of what British college classes are like. This has less on-site support than a UW signature program in terms of having UW staff there with you, but the university does a great job of providing the support you will need while you are there. They have specific staff just for study abroad students and work to make sure everyone feels safe and at home there. One of the main questions we hear during the session is, how much does it cost to study abroad? Our programs vary in cost depending on a number of factors, including duration, location, organized excursions, whether housing or group meals are provided, and even your residency status. While some programs do cost more than studying on campus, many programs cost the same or even less. You will want to visit the individual program pages to determine the cost of each program we offer. For me personally, I know I'm an out-of-state student, and studying abroad at the University of Westminster cost me slightly less than it does to study at UW. Just an example, UW in London updated cost sheet lists $22,550 as the expected cost for Wisconsin residents. In comparison, Westminster lists $24,850 as the expected cost for Wisconsin residents. So similar, a little bit more for Westminster, but obviously this fee will vary depending on things like accommodation, flight prices, additional travel, and grocery or shopping expenses. Financial aid can often be used to pay the program fee in the same way it can be used to pay for tuition. For this reason, we strongly recommend you apply for the FAFSA, even if you were denied federal aid in the past. In addition to financial aid, there are a wide range of merit and need-based scholarships available to students studying abroad, which are listed within the Campus Scholarship Hub, as well as on each program's webpage. We also have a number of resources available to help you financially plan for your program. A budget worksheet can help you identify your anticipated expenses. We also offer free passport photos for all UW-Madison students, faculty, and staff to help reduce the costs associated with passports or visa. In addition, our pre-departure loan helps students pay for their program acceptance deposit or flight booking costs if you do not have ready access to the funds. Lastly, we offer financial aid drop-in advising and funding info sessions to answer specifics about funding your program. I'll now go over some tips and tricks to consider when studying abroad in London. This is especially helpful if this is your first time overseas or in Europe. You will only need a visa on this program if you are doing the internship. Once you find out you are accepted, you should start the visa application process as soon as possible because wait times can be pretty high. The charging port in England is unique to that country, so you will want to buy an adapter for the US, UK, and also EU. These can easily be found on Amazon. While the cold weather is much milder than it is in Wisconsin, it is often much rainier. So make sure to bring a good rain jacket and umbrella with you. It can start raining randomly in the middle of the day, so it is a good idea to keep an umbrella on you if possible. Travel in and out of London and England is fairly simple. The tube is very straightforward and can take you pretty much anywhere in the city you need to go, including the airports. There are several large airports that travel to countries all around the world, often for less money than it would be in the US. Recommended apps for travel are Google and Apple Maps, City Mapper, and TfL Go. These will show you when the tubes or buses are expected to come and specifically which stops you need to get off at. They are updated in real time to include delays or disruptions and make the process very easy to navigate. Bring what you need, but try not to overpack. You can get most things you will need just outside your door in London, meaning try not to stuff your suitcase full of toiletries and heavy items. There is not huge amounts of storage for luggage in your dorm rooms, so be efficient and check out the local shops for anything you need to supplement what you will be bringing. Finally, Wi-Fi is easily accessible in most public spaces in London. Most restaurants, coffee shops, stores, etc. will have free Wi-Fi available. To recap, here are some next steps that you can take action on now. Think about your academic, professional, and personal goals, as these will help you focus your program search and prioritize the aspects that are most important to you. Chat with a study abroad advisor to help you determine which programs may best meet your goals. All students can meet with a study abroad advisor virtually, and although anyone can meet with an advisor from IAP, we recommend that students with business, engineering, and PALS start their study abroad planning process at the advising schools in those offices. Remember to also talk with your academic advisor to discuss how study abroad will fit within your overall academic plan, since this is unique for every major and student. Talk with your family and refer them to the Parents and Families page on our website. Build your budget and explore our funding and scholarship resources. Reach out to past participants using our Return Student Network found in the Student Voices section on our homepage. Return students can provide excellent information about the specific program you're considering. Specifically for this program, if you leave this presentation having more questions or kind of wanting a personalized advising appointment, you are welcome to reach out to our peer advisor email and then address me in the subject line, and I can always help you out personally. That email will be on the next slide. And remember to apply for or update your passport. This is especially important to do early, as wait times can be long. Once you've decided on the program, start applying. Most students are surprised by how early our application deadlines are, so keep in mind that you may need to apply up to a year before the program begins. Again, with Westminster, this is not going to be the case, so if you are interested in studying abroad next spring, those application deadlines, the specific dates are not quite out yet, but they're going to be sometime in the first couple of weeks in September, just historically speaking. This concludes our presentation, so we'll use the remaining time in today's session to answer your questions. So you're welcome to drop any questions into the chat. I'm going to work on getting that link for you guys for. Here's a link for the course equivalency page. All right, so I have a question put into the Q&A. Did the internship ever get in the way of travel or other plans? That's a great question. For me, no. You are able to work with your manager for the internship to create your own schedule. Something really cool about Westminster's internship program is that typically the companies that hire students from Westminster have done so for the past few years or more, meaning they are used to having internship students at Westminster, and they know that they have their own schedules for classes and personal time. So as long, I know for me, it was 14 hours a week I had to do. So if that's still the same, you can kind of schedule with your manager however works best for you and them around your classes. I never had my internship or any classes on Friday. So if I did travel, it was typically over that Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend, which worked out perfectly for me. So it's going to depend on how you and your manager kind of sort out your schedule, but it's definitely did not get in the way. The acceptance rate for this program. So there's no acceptance rates. This is not labeled as a competitive program, meaning other programs that are labeled as competitive means there are more spots than there are students that apply. This is not one of those programs. So if you meet the eligibility requirements, you have some strong essays in your application, there is a good chance you'll be admitted, but obviously we cannot guarantee this. But all I can say is that it's not labeled as competitive. So you could have a good shot if you do meet those eligibility requirements. Let's see. How likely is someone to be accepted into the program if they are a bit below GPA requirements? This is another very specific question that I don't know the answer to just because I am not the one actually processing the applications. I believe if he's still in there, Elijah, our enrollment manager, is in this presentation. Elijah, if you wanted to weigh in on anything with that question, that would be great. But I would say it depends on a person-to-person basis. If you maybe express really strong interest with your essays and your application, maybe exceptions could be made. Right. Is there anything you regret not doing or bringing? Is there a tube card you recommend buying before? Ooh, that's a very good question. So anything I regret not bringing or doing? Not doing, I would say I did get the chance to kind of be a tourist in my own country and in London a lot. So I traveled to a lot of different smaller parts of London and really tried to get the most out of my experience there. But I would say I would have even done it more so. So instead of, making plans to travel to other countries as much as you might want to, I think it's really important to travel around the city that you are in because London is so huge and full of so much that you could possibly never get tired of and find new spots to do no matter how long you're there for. And the second question, a tube card you recommend buying before. So actually I do have a very specific experience with this. There is something called an Oyster card, and it was advertised to me as something that if you are a student, you will get a discounted rate for the tubes and the buses with an Oyster card. So I didn't really experience that happening to me. I did buy an Oyster card, which it was about $20 or £20 to ship to your address. With the Oyster card, you just load money onto it and then tap the Oyster card in as you enter the tube station. So for me, there wasn't any actual discount that happened. If anything, I actually just spent money to buy the Oyster card and then didn't end up adding money into it because once you get to the tube, you can easily tap in through your phone or your Apple Watch or your credit card. It's kind of the exact same thing, but instead of loading money onto the Oyster card, you're just doing it as you go, which I found to be easier, but some people do still use Oyster cards. All right. Did the exams and papers at the end of the semester take a lot of time to study or prepare for? So let's see, I had three classes if you count the internship class, which actually did have a very large essay at the end of the class. So for one of my classes, which was a literature class, I didn't have an exam or an essay. It was just kind of a cumulative assignment of different journal entries that we were doing throughout the semester. So that one didn't have any preparation involved. That was just going to class and doing the work. For one of my psychology classes, which was psychology of crime, that was an exam and an essay. So the exam was open notes since we were taking it online. So as long as I prepared kind of all of my notes and readings to have up so that I could look at it while I was taking the exam, that helped. Going to lecture to get those notes was really key and crucial. But other than that, I did not spend a ton of time studying since I knew I would have those notes from class to be able to look on. The essays did take up quite a long time. I saved them for the last 2 weeks. I do regret that. I wish I would have started maybe a couple weeks earlier just to get something down. They were quite a hefty word count on those essays. So while they weren't exactly so difficult that they took up so much time, it was more of just that many words took a long time to write. So I would recommend getting a head start on those earlier than you think you might need to. How much does it cost to stay in the Marylebone dorm? And were you able to take a depth psych course abroad? Depth psych course, yes. That was the psychology of crime class that I took, counted, I believe that's a depth, yeah. So that fulfilled my depth course, the last one I needed for psychology, which was really awesome. and was a really cool class to take there. How much does it cost to stay at the Marylebone dorm? That might take some personal research on your end. I don't have those numbers at the top of my head. I would say it's probably on par with like dorm costs here, maybe even less because they're not in, like food is not included. So I would try to see if you can find that information online. If not, shoot me an email and I can try to pull up the history that I paid for last year, but I just don't have that number off the top of my head. Let's see, those are really great questions. How soon after you applied for the program did you find out you got in? I believe about 4 to 6 weeks after I applied. So that's going to be across the board for all programs, about 4 to 6 weeks after the application deadline. So even though I applied like a month earlier than the application deadline, I didn't hear until a few weeks after the deadline. Okay, Elijah, thank you so much for answering that. So if the student that asked that wants to read kind of what Elijah wrote, that's great. Any other questions? Also for the question, is there anything you regret not bringing? I would say bring a few more casual clothes than you think you might need. I brought so many nice clothes and I did end up wearing them, especially to my internship, but I didn't end up wearing nearly the amount that I brought. I didn't bring that many t-shirts and loungewear, and I actually found that I needed those when I just wanted to hang out in my apartment, but not like pajamas, you know? So that was good. And there's like a stereotype I heard before coming to London that everyone dresses like super nice there. That can be true in parts, but also people do dress like normal people and they wear loungewear and they wear exercise clothes outside and they wear leggings and sweaters. And so don't focus too much on buying a whole new wardrobe. Just wear the appropriate clothes you would wear to class, but you're not going to be standing out if you wear leggings and a sweatshirt sometimes. Okay, did you find out your internship placement before leaving or when you arrived in London? So I found out my internship placement sometime I think in October or November. I don't remember exactly. So after I applied, once you hear back from Wisconsin, you then apply to the University of Westminster in their own application. And that is when you decide if you want to do the internship program, you apply to Westminster. You can either apply just for the study abroad school, or you can apply for the school plus the internship. And that's optional. If you weren't to get into the internship, you could still get into the school and study abroad there. But after hearing back from them that I got into the internship component of the program, they reached out to me, I believe, to give me kind of like a survey of filling out where I want to work best and what my interests are. Shortly after that, I think they set me up with an interview for a company. I only had one interview and basically was like hired in quotes on the spot. Kind of, we just realized that we matched and that we would work well together during that interview. And so that was about October, November time, probably November. So I definitely knew, I knew my manager, I knew the company I was working for. She sent me the whole handbook. I was able to read over it. I knew exactly what I was getting into before I ever got to London with that internship. I know some other people on the internship program had a couple of different interviews for different companies. They just kind of had to figure out their match. So it's less about like a super competitive getting into an internship because again, once you've gotten into that internship, they're really going to match you up with someone. It's not so much of like a very competitive process, but it's more about finding the company that's going to work best with you and your interests and your experience. Any questions and letters? I'll stay for just one more minute, just in case we get any more questions. If not, you are free to go. Again, you are welcome to email the peer advisor account, which is peeradvisor@wisc.edu. That's also definitely on our website somewhere. Okay, I see another one. For the study abroad application, can you put alternative programs if you don't get into Westminster? Good question. So you can only apply to one study abroad program at a time. So if you weren't to get into Westminster, your enrollment manager would reach out to you, or vice versa, and you would be able to figure out a second application to apply for. Even if it's past the deadline, it doesn't matter if the enrollment managers know the situation. And this happens all the time. If someone does not get into a program, it is very easy for them typically to study abroad at another program that might be kind of more suitable for them. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. If that does end up happening, you and your enrollment manager can really try to figure out the next best option for you. All right, are there any more questions? If not, you are free to go. Thank you so much for joining this presentation. Yeah, please feel free to reach out via email if you have more questions that we did not answer today. But yeah, thank you for coming.